Flash pull, the Turtle's in danger. Massive engage coming out from EG, but a bigger turnaround from TSM. EG don't have the damage, and TSM just got themselves a bear in hand delivered on a silver platter.
He's in bed.
Nice guys, good boys. Hey, don't get too cocky, don't get too cocky. It's only one game.
A double kill back over to JoJo. He'll see if he can find some more. Turtle and Haunts are trying to kite it out, fight it out, but it won't work, man. Revenge and JoJo are finding the damage. And just lost all 5 men. Revenge gets a triple. Revenge gets a quadra. Where's that pentakill for Jax? Somebody sound off.
Give it to him.
Won't give it to him. EG's got to chase it down. Revenge. Boom! Evil Genius is ended in style. Evil Genius is jumping in. JoJo's not going to find the first charm, but he lands it onto Haunter instead. As Boogie's stuck in the front line, the burst comes through, and the jungler's already down for both sides. While Turtle has to flash away, he doesn't have the DPS up top. Unforgiven lets the feathers fly over the wall. It's a double kill. It's everybody but Insanity dead, and TSM just lost the game off that one. JoJo's ready. Chime absorbs a lot with the haymaker, and now JoJo's going to burn. Haunter's in the mix, and he's mixing up Evil Geniuses. Insanity jumps in with the rockets, and a vengeance is falling comrade. It's a 3-for-1 for TSM. Haunter nearly has the equalizer. The cooldown is just about to be ready now. There it is. Not quite what he needed to kill Ayla, but he's got the flash for follow. JoJo drops 2, and TSM's gonna give him something to smile about. The TSM jungler Revenge trying to get himself away from the second part of the Orange Horn. Q3's gonna find all the targets. 4v2, and they're losing the fight. TSM has no damage, no chance, no hope left in this game. EG just massacred them, and they're gonna take the series.
Yeah, X-rated.
Welcome to Rolling Around, where we're getting an update on Raz's injured knee, and now we're
Stay off it, Raz.
we're going to get. We're not following doctor's instructions.
Hey, whatever.
We're going to get into a little bit of a patch discussion by way of the fact that we saw Revenge pulling out the Aatrox our first day on 13-14 in EG's victory over TSM in Game 5. We kind of did very quietly mention Aatrox as a champion that could return given the buffs that he did receive.
Aatrox.
But yeah, Revenge absolutely popped off on the champ.
Expect to see it continue to grow in priority. The change that came through was specifically the Q working better both against minions with a reduced amount of scaling as you level up in terms of how much damage it's taking off versus minions, but also the base got taken down a little bit, but the ratio went up.
Yeah,
so
100% AD.
Yeah, 100% AD, and then you're getting the bonus 50% on Q3. Yeah, it's pretty gross. You saw the Cyrildas being used, get that AD ratio up higher and higher.
Yep.
Yeah,
and Revenge took over.
Azael described Aatrox Q3 as Zigzag.
Yes, he did actually.
Which I think is actually a pretty apt description based on the way he one-shot Wild Turtle a couple times, so get out the way.
Wild Turtle definitely did not get out the way.
He went in the way sometimes.
This nice 2v5 right here.
There's
Yeah.
Zigzag. And then
Look at how satisfying that looks to play.
And that does change how you draft a lot now that you have an additional AD bruiser top lane that you can feed Sejuani into, or like a possible option into Rumble. You know, possible being the bolded word.
it is pretty hard to parse these patch notes, but essentially, it is a buff to the Q. The Q now does more damage.
Q feel good.
Q does more damage to champions and minions.
Especially the minion part, the damage one, again, there's a bit off the base, buff to that. But the big problem Aatrox had is like mid to late game is your push was pretty terrible. Like you actually had to auto creeps before. Now you can actually clear them with your Qs especially if you're sweet spotting. So big buff to Aatrox, especially in competitive where pushing and moving is a lot more important.
Yeah, and I think people, I don't think it's necessarily a Rumble answer, but top lane is kind of weird right now with people just trying to find answers to the push that Rumble gives, I think. So
Best answer into Rumble, still banning the champion. Still banning the champion for now.
We'll see if TL or NRG decide to do that. But other nerfs, we had some Rell and Jax nerfs coming through. We'll take a look at Rell first. I don't know how much you guys think this affects her. Obviously, we saw Boogie playing the Rell yesterday. I thought Boogie actually had like a pretty good performance. I think this isn't necessarily going to affect her all that much in competitive given what she brings.
Yeah, she's
to a
still going to
team
be a
comp.
flex pick. She's still going to have the engage. She's just going to be a little bit more squishy. These are all durability-based changes. It's not changing her CC or her cooldown. So this is very much one of those things where, like, the design team says, let's just take down the win rate a little bit. But I think the fact that it's still a jungle support flex and there's not that many flex picks that are viable in the meta, it's going to continue to be high priority.
Yep. Engage, tank that you can flex is always going to be strong. You saw it being picked yesterday. Another thing we saw being picked yesterday a lot still is the Jax. So I expect that will be one of the primary carry champions for people. Fiora a little bit out of revenge, but the Jax changes, just making him a little bit less quality of life. You know, your E takes a little bit longer to come back up. Your ult costs a little bit more mana. Very minor stuff. Obviously still very strong.
So these are things that are definitely changed for what people already play pretty heavily, being the Rell and the Jax. There are going to be a lot of other changes that it's really hard to parse through. So a great example would be like the Shyvana wholesale changes, which is like, okay, we're going to see Shyvana at all as a jungler or as a top laner. The attack speed given to her on her Q, larger damage overall. It's like, okay, if people want to pick her, then that's great. Blue buff being changed at least now to scale up. Like, it gives less, but then you can get to 20 ability haste as the game goes on. I think it's pretty big. It doesn't really change much of what you want to pick, but I think it's great for in-game. Now you're kind of prioritizing to pick it up before a fight. So it's always really nice. Xayah's an interesting one. I need to look into Xayah a little bit more because now the bonus magic damage you do to camps, you just clear it quickly. So if there's any experimenters out there that want to deal with a Rell, a lot of quality of life changes too, so you can flash while you're throwing your E, Strangle Thorns, or if you could just use your ultimate and max range pretty easily. Like so the quality of life changes are great. Also, just the overall changes into the jungle is nice. So if you want an answer versus Rell engage, guys, just throw it out there.
Xayah jungle. All right.
Sounds like something that would get engaged on. But it just sounds like something I'm going to feast
Just
on.
stay 30 miles in the opposite direction.
All right. That'll be it. Obviously, I think we'll touch upon some more changes, especially some of the itemization changes as well. But right now, we're going to take a look at our current playoff bracket because, as we mentioned previously, EG took down TSM 3-2 yesterday. TSM dropped to the lower bracket. They will be facing Dignitas, and EG move on to face C9 next week. Then we have TL NRG today, the loser of which drops down to face 100 Thieves in another elimination match.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think before the playoffs started, I would have expected this game to be the closest series that we'd see this week.
Yeah.
We've already had the 5-game series, which I guess is maximum closeness. So
there's this stat called closeness, and I don't think that series
there's
was
a
actually
closeness stat?
There is.
You mean like major league, major deficit?
Yeah, but there's
There's a closeness stat.
when you're not in a major lead or in a major deficit, you're close. That stat exists. It's called closeness. That was not a close series by that stats metric. And I think by eyeballs as well. Every game was a blowout. It was just that there were different
but if
teams
you
were blowing.
aggregated, it would still be close.
No. No, that's not how closeness works. It was five stomps. It's not like the games became closer because they were stomping different directions.
3 stomps for one team and 2 stomps for the other, so a close series.
No, it's not how stats
It
work.
was.
This is the greatest conversation.
Series.
It was
It's
the
3-2.
least
It's a close series.
best
One game
of 5.
changes, a different team wins.
It was the least close best of 5 by timing. It was the fastest best of
doesn't make
5
it less close.
in
That
the
just makes it
LCS
fast.
that's gone to all 5
By the
games. You
statistical
lose fast
definition, it
and you
does.
win fast.
All I know is I heard Silver Scrapes was 1 game away. That's pretty close to me.
So for me,
Not
it
based
didn't,
off the stats
it
definition?
didn't
God.
feel close, but 3-2 makes it close.
Yes.
Like,
So you agree with the feeling and you agree with the stats definition.
I don't understand the stat.
All right,
It's so simple.
moving on. You know what else wasn't close?
What?
In some cases, close in others. All pro votes.
Yes. Very much
You
so.
like that segue? All right.
That's a great segue. That's a great segue.
So here we have, these are our, I guess, first team all snubs.
Oh,
so
fascinating.
essentially, production asked us to pick our kind of snubs, people that we thought could have come in third.
Wow.
I know, I will point out for mine, I did actually vote Revenge third all team.
So did I.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not our votes. This is what we saw come out of the All-Pro voting, and who we would then put on or say was the next closest in line in our opinion.
None of these players actually qualified for All-Pro.
Right.
It's kind of like, which one do we?
I voted for Insanity for All-Pro. He didn't make it, so then again, I put him on my all-snubs list. So I'm the only one with Insanity. I think Palafox had a really inconsistent split. I think he was the biggest individual carry on his team, and I can see that. But I also think that he was more inconsistent than Insanity. Insanity was just generally very good. And I thought was deserving of it, though. I had Contractz as a bigger engine for NRG.
Raz, why are you cracking up?
I just love that they're actually snubs to you guys because you voted for them. All of my guys, I snubbed all of them. I didn't vote for any of one of them. They were my basically next in line.
Yeah.
Well,
that I thought did really well.
It's only Insanity I vote for. The other 4 I did not vote for. So
okay.
I do think, Revenge, Contractz, Yeon, and Chime all had good splits.
Yeah, that's with me too. The only one I actually did vote for was Revenge. I think the other, so Revenge across the board and also Yeon across the board.
Yeah.
Who was really difficult for me because we did talk a lot about like who is just out of the ADC contention.
Yeah.
But for me, it was pretty clear, and then Yeon was just slightly below that. I do think he has had a very strong split, though.
Yeah, well, something that's interesting to me, especially looking towards the matchup today, is the question you asked Unforgiven yesterday about who's harder bot lane to play against.
I was shocked at his answer.
And he actually said energy, and none of us have, like, we have energy players on this list. We have jungle mid, but FBI and IgNar do hold respect in certain pockets of the league.
Yeah, I think Ayla as well. I like your call out for someone who he actually had a pretty good series yesterday.
Yeah.
He gets swept under the radar, I think, because of JoJo and sometimes the soul laners, and even like what's going on in the jungle, like who's playing and stuff. And you don't really talk about Unforgiven and Ayla, but Ayla had a lot of good engages.
Yeah,
and oftentimes is the engager for this team.
To me, the Ayla pick is not necessarily about laning, but any time you look at a team and say this team fights well.
Yeah.
It's very hard to not have a good support because the support, I think, is just so crucial to the function of a team fight, and Ayla is often the one engaging, as you said.
Yeah.
I think you could say the same thing for Chime as well. Like in terms of his performances yesterday and TSM's wins, and then additionally how we were kind of evaluating him in Turtle as a bot lane. We're definitely more thinking of him more as like, oh, he's gotten better at laning, but he's also really instrumental in some of TSM's team fights.
Yeah, I think that point's really important. I would say one snub to the all snub list that was voted actually quite a bit.
Snub to the snubs?
The snub to the snub list is actually IgNar. IgNar is a support, like to the point that you were making about like, oh, if you're team fighting well, a lot of the times you have to give credence to the support. He is one of, if you're looking historically in both LEC and LCS, one of the best engaging supports in the world a lot of the times. Obviously, there's been that period where he fell off, and people are still looking at him like, are you still doing that for your team? And when NRG plays really well and they're team fighting well, it's because of IgNar. And so when I look at the All-Pro Valid and I see a lot of third-team support picks for IgNar, that's players and coaches recognizing the strength that he brings for that team.
Something about IgNar.
Yeah.
This guy buys so many control wards.
He does.
And he just fires them all over the map. He is the most wasteful warder we have ever seen.
Is that a new stat?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, it's so
with?
interesting because I feel like the classic Korean support was like all about vision control, and there's definitely been a little bit of almost like an evolution with not being able to hold as many control wards, with the support items just giving you free wards. Like, you're not necessarily making purchase decisions around it, but IgNar like consistently wards more than literally everybody else.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're getting these like nice short-term wins because he's created so much vision, but if you don't act on it, it's just like it's waste. It's almost like he's ordering coffee every single day, rather than having the like cold brew they have on tap.
That's pretty crazy.
Right? Like,
that's a crazy thing to do.
That sounds like a targeted statement.
Yeah, I wonder who would be.
At one of our lounges.
IgNar is the guy who orders coffee every day.
You know IgNar that well, huh?
Throws it around.
IgNar, a new member of this NRG team, this split.
Yeah.
But the core of NRG, or this specific NRG squad from their CLG days, would definitely be Dhokla, Contractz, Palafox. These are some of their season finishes across the past few splits, and I feel like we see them as like, oh, this team goes into, does really well against C9, but loses.
I mean, it's not even just about C9. They lost to EG. They got absolutely blasted by EG that then blew up later last spring. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they bump into the best team in the league and lose. They lose a lot of series. They lost to TL closely. They almost beat them, but then they didn't. They end up dropping. They get 5th, 6th in summer 2022. And I think that's something that I'm a little frustrated with this team about. Like, the regular season places are better than their postseason places. And I want them to finally actually show up in the postseason. And they've been this like NA talent super team that like a lot of fans have rallied around coming from that horrible 2022 spring season. They just put in Dhokla and they become much better. And everyone was so excited for this team, but they haven't actually had the postseason success yet.
And man, even going into the last week of the regular season, we were looking, we're like, damn, look at they could get first place. Like Palafox wins Player of the Week, they're gonna do it.
They beat C9 twice.
And they just dropped 2 games seemingly out of nowhere to teams that they should be able to beat. So they've been so close to being for real so many times.
Those series that they're losing are 5-game series. They just never actually clutch it out in the final moments.
Yeah, and even hearing from the players, they'll mention the fact that they're choking, like, acknowledge the fact that they're choking in those moments when it matters most. And hearing from them as well, it's like, it should be different now. Like, they've made changes to the team where that should be the case. At least that will make their series more entertaining. The reality is just that, like, you're still seeing those moments in the regular season, to your point. So it's like, if it's still happening during the regular season, cleaning all that up and trying to be a more disciplined team during playoffs, it's hard when you haven't been doing it prior. So it's really tough. That's why I'm interested to see what the predictions are. I'm just throwing that out there. I know we have a while away to get there, but I'm making my call right now.
Yeah, I think the question is, how much do we think this new bot lane is going to help with that in the postseason? And then again, we did highlight TL's bot lane. TL has an incredibly strong early game. That's like unequivocally, I think, the best in the league still. And here are just some Yeon highlights, because I do want to reiterate what you brought up, Jatt, from that interview that Unforgiven said. I thought it was really interesting that he said that the NRG bot lane is more difficult to face than the TL bot lane, given how well we have seen Yeon perform in TL's wins.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised by that. I would still say it's Yeon, because I think he's going to be front runner for Rookie of the Year. That's going to be announced fairly soon. We'll see if that is the case. His laning has been very strong, but then when there is the correct team fight set up, he's very good in team fights. It's just Team Liquid almost never has the correct team fight set up. But he has had some moments of shining throughout the split.
Yeah, Team Liquid is a team that's like their strengths all line up and their weaknesses all line up. So like, I don't think Yeon is an incredible team fighter, but neither is the rest of Team Liquid right now. And so it makes these moments where as an AD carry, you're out of position, you're getting jumped on and dying. But him and Core have had an incredible lane phase.
There's another thing that people ding him on, and it's hilarious that it was the most apparent versus NRG in the regular season, where you have the 10K goal lead, you're pressing on that tier 2 turret top lane, and you walk up too far up and you die. That will break your entire team's tempo. They all have to back away now. You have to try again on the bot side of the map. Like, there are times where he does get caught. He's called himself out that in the beginning of the split and being able to not make those mistakes. And I think those mistakes, personally, I think that's what costed him getting all pro, because he was an amazing laner. You're right. When he had those setups, he was a great team fighter. But a lot of the times it was the start and stop that would always happen with Team Liquid's late game. That would either happen with Summit dying or him dying. But some dying a lot made it easier to forget that he died too.
Or Harry dying.
Or Harry dying.
Pyosik dying.
Or Pyosik dying. So that would make Summit the best teammate, honestly. But so I think a lot of people are hoping that we see cleaner versions of these teams going into this series.
Yeah, and one thing that has been interesting is APA coming on to TL. I think, again, keep reiterating, APA works so well with Pyosik. They just want to go in, right? And this is an interesting thing that I had pulled. Shared champions between APA and Palafox since APA came into the league. So this is not covering his academy time, but just his time on TL and the LCS. Only shared champ is Tristana.
Yeah, APA is a classic control mage player at the moment, right? Yes, some of them are less meta picks, but they all have a bit of a similar large amount of teamfight damage style, whereas Palafox definitely plays a lot more champions that are more likely to take over the game by themselves or be the catalyst for action. So APA's champion pool, weirdly enough, does fit very well with the way Team Liquid is playing, and I think that's why it's felt so good to see him on this team.
Yeah, I think you can also see the sprinkling of the flex picks that NRG does like to occasionally run between their solo laners when they have the opportunity, depending on comp. Whereas, like you said, from APA, what we're looking for is a more standard control mage player who is just working really well with the team whenever they want to go in. Pyosik's going in, you know, APA is going in as well.
Yeah, but we also have to remember they are playing against Team Liquid.
Yes.
And I have a story. I have a story that I think ties in Team Liquid fairly well. So
what is this?
As a child, 12-year-old child.
That's how you looked?
Yep.
Your head is huge.
This is a photo of me. I sent it in earlier.
I see stubble.
I was 12. Anyway, this is me. Let's get to the next slide. This is me with my dog.
Okay.
All right.
And then my family would go camping every summer, and sometimes I'd walk the dog around the campsite. And one year I had this idea that I could walk the dog faster if I tethered the dog to my bike.
Okay.
Oh.
So this felt like a very good idea at the time. And when I started doing it, it was amazing. I could be going on my bike, the dog would love it, he'd be running right beside me, until fairly soon after, another dog barked.
Uh-oh.
And my dog turned, and so did my handlebars.
Oh.
And then I continued going. So the good idea turned into a disaster.
Right.
This is Team Liquid. The good ideas turn into disasters. Let's go to the first clip. Roll it right away. This play with Summit being 50 CS up and CoreJJ finding a hook is a very good idea. Like, let's fight around Summit because we're gonna be able to win this. He gets the ultimate down. Yes, it's a little dicey, but they get a 2-for-1. But they just kind of keep doing it. And now the other team knows it's coming. They don't check the minimap beforehand. They try to overextend. Yes, they get one kill, but they haven't tracked the teleports properly. They kind of end up losing the game off this play, much like I lost some skin off of my head and knee when I fell off the bike.
Too much information.
So this is another play where Team Liquid, amazing, right? They get Baron. APA makes this amazing engage. They're able to reset against FlyQuest, push up the bottom wave. Everybody else gets gold. They very cleanly take 2 inhibitors. You feel like this team has really got it together. This is going to be the cleanest end to this game. They're going to run into playoffs with an incredibly consistent macro style. Look at this. FlyQuest doesn't contest them. They get 2 inhibitors. What should happen now is they should just reset or move the wave in bottom lane and go for the 3rd inhibitor. But what do? They say, let's just go faster on the bike because it's been working well so far. The bike was not meant to go that fast. It's a kid's bike. You're 12 years old. And they all die, making the game a lot more difficult. These are just a few examples of Team Liquid doing things that make it seem like it's a really good idea, but then overexerting themselves, which then makes it a bad idea.
So you died after your dog went to the forest.
I learned my lesson.
Okay.
We have yet to see that lesson from Team Liquid.
Okay, that's fair.
But that, you get the point.
I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Wear a helmet.
Good point of information. I did ride a bike to get here.
Okay, cool. So following up on
helmet.
this idea of Team Liquid and NRG being inconsistent, we're going to play a little game where I will show you a goal graph the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just to illustrate why this series is so unpredictable, I will then ask you actually to predict what will happen for the rest of the game based off that first 15 minutes. I'll give you little nuggets of information. You'll go one at a time.
Okay.
Try and fill it out. I'll show you a clip then from the game as well as the final goal graph.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, so Jatt, I think you're up first.
Okay.
This is a Team Liquid game.
Okay.
And we can pull the goal graph up on the screen or over there. I think is where it's going to be. But you're going to have the pad.
Do I get details about this?
You can ask me a couple questions.
Okay, who are they playing against?
I'm not going to answer that.
What?
Because you might remember the game. But this is with APA as the mid laner.
Okay.
It's a 38-minute game. And they are currently 4,000 gold in the lead at 15 minutes. Begin drawing what you think will happen. And you guys can contribute if you have thoughts.
So 4,000 gold, they probably win.
38.
By 25 minutes, it's going to go like this. And a 38-minute game?
Yep, it's 38. So you predict a Team Liquid win, a little throw, but then they're going to close it out.
Said it's APA, so there's no...
Do I get to see a clip and then change my mind?
Nope, we will just play the clip and show you how the goal graph actually looks. Don't erase it because we'll overlay it afterwards. This is the game. It was versus TSM. If you remember, this is the Casio APA game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
I think I'm pretty good at this.
They're looking pretty good at this fight, right?
Oh, this is the
Yeah.
Kai'Sa game.
It's
My
the
dip
Kai'Sa
was
game.
28.
Kai'Sa game.
You remember? This is why I can't tell you the game. This is why I can't-
No!
Look at that ult, though. Look at that. Look, he had a great ult.
Got a fat
Yeah, he did it. Summit, AP LeBlanc, that's totally a good late game pick.
Oh, no.
It's gonna
not
work.
enough.
They lose this whole game, man!
They lose not just this fight, despite how well APA plays it. They lose the entire game.
They had a 4,000 goal lead.
Did you wipe it? Wait, put
No,
the...
I didn't. I see it right now.
There you go.
Oh,
So you
no.
almost had it. You had it actually completely backwards.
Except they actually extended their lead
Yeah.
even more.
So they extended, then you have it actually
Oh,
completely
no.
backwards. You failed the assignment. And also, TSM won with a goal deficit.
Yeah.
This
That
is
is-
from Team Liquid's perspective.
Yeah.
That is almost an exact reflection of it.
This is a
That's
fun
impressive.
game. It's also
All right,
awesome.
we'll go to the next one. We'll clear this. Raz, I think you're up next.
I
We'll
got
get
this.
this next gold graph, first 15 minutes up on screen.
I can meta this.
All right, let's take a look.
Yeah.
This is an NRG game.
Oh, and they're in
Okay.
a deficit.
It's an NRG game. They're at around a 4K deficit. I think that's around 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
It is a
Deficit.
44-minute game.
Ooh.
I know who this is against. This is
Oh.
against Team Liquid.
Oh,
Is it?
I
Yes.
think I know this one.
Okay, well, if you know it, then
Oh.
go
Just
ahead.
go, just go, just
Try
go.
and predict
Is
it.
it
Can
the
I draw
last time
another
they
one on
played?
top of his?
No.
Can I play again?
No, you failed the assignment.
I want to play again.
You can help contribute. You can tell if you're
Yeah,
going
what?
too much.
Raz, I think this is the
Raz.
Immortals game. And
What?
no gold graph can go backwards like that. It's a linear.
It is a Christopher
graph.
Nolan film.
Just think of it
Yeah.
as
This is
a
Tenet?
steep decline.
It's a very steep decline, but then they rally. So you think they
Yes,
rally and win?
I think they rally and
They,
win.
go,
Wow.
they throw so
All right,
hard,
let's
they go
go ahead
backwards in
and pull it
time.
up.
I'm thinking it's the last time they met TL.
It's actually a
Dignitas!
This game, look at that. There's 7 dragons, the most possible dragons you can have.
Yeah.
It's back and forth. And it looks kind of scary for energy, but Raz is
Close
right.
it out.
They're actually going to
Yeah.
clinch it out. Yeah.
Oh my
Good job, Raz.
There he is. The moment I see
Well, let's see
energy
how
having
close
a
the graph
deficit.
is.
Let's
We gotta
see.
get the graph on
I
top.
don't think you got
Hey, in terms of assignments, you
General
got the right
feeling,
answer.
Yeah, you got the right
Yeah.
answer.
Your work,
Good job.
Your work wasn't exactly correct, but you got the right answer. There
That's
was an extra throw or two in there.
That's when the
All
teacher
right.
looks at that and is like, you did.
Yeah.
That's not your work.
Can't have a graph going backwards in time.
That's
right.
also a problem. All
I
right,
thought Baron and they lost a lot of
What's this one
gold,
gonna
but
be?
this is the last one. This is also an NRG game.
NRG.
oh, look, that's very stable.
It's pretty close, so it's a little hard
This
to
one's
predict.
This one's
It's a
gonna be
41-minute
really
game.
hard. 41 minutes.
It's a 41-minute game.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
At some point they do something good, and at some point they do something bad.
Oh, that's
That is
every
every-
energy.
That just means it has to go up and down.
Yeah, I feel like
Look, it's stable, okay?
maybe
Yeah, all right, pretty consistent.
whoa, whoa.
there's
that
gonna be a
consistent.
dip.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
a very
small,
gradual
steady
dip.
gold lead. All right,
Yeah, and then
wait,
they're gonna. Oh wait, no.
It was
What?
41.
It's
Wait, did I
early.
say 41?
Yeah. Yeah, you did say
Okay,
41.
close enough. The
All right,
second line
close,
counts.
close enough.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a
Ignore
look.
that
Let's
one.
pull it.
Two realities.
This is the one Jatt was thinking of earlier.
Oh, this game!
Oh.
Despite
I
the
knew you were gonna have this on your
The spike
somewhere.
on the top is gonna be higher.
So they're going to go way up
Yeah.
and then down to about even and then lose the game.
Yeah, the fact that they were even at 14, they ended up
Yeah.
having around a 10K gold lead. Then they end up losing this game, despite that fact that they, I think, had Nexus turrets down as well. Or at
Yeah,
least one
they had a
Nexus
15 kills Airy.
turret. Yeah. This is the game at the start of
Wow.
the year.
This is the one that made you believe in Immortals. Made me
True.
believe in
Yeah.
Immortals.
Yeah.
I had faith.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead, pull up the gold graph
Yeah.
with Emily's
Oh yeah.
overlay.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, that graph.
Yeah.
Oh.
So actually not bad. Shape-wise,
Yeah.
that's good.
The times are pretty good. It's just
Yeah.
you weren't extreme enough in your
Yeah. I
belief.
wasn't. I wasn't like, oh, woo. Yeah. They're gonna go. All
And
right.
that's why it's hard to predict this series.
Yes, it is.
It is. Let's see what we did.
I'm interested.
I have no idea.
go.
3-2. Confidence. Split down the middle.
There's no way this is a 3-2. This is a sweep one way or the other.
No, I can
Yeah.
see. You could tell me that this ended at any amount of outcomes for either team, and that would be great. We will see what happens on the other side of the show open, and then casters will take it away then.
See you guys.
2 of the first week of playoffs here in the LCS Summer Split. The year 2023, NRG are already arriving to the scene where they will be taking on their opponents in Team Liquid. And of course, with Team Liquid, they always got the special arrivals here. What do they got here, Isaac?
I don't know. This is a shop. They're deciding what to buy. Oh, it's arena mode. Oh, it's 2v2v. Oh! he's working on the target dummy.
That's awesome. And NRG are like, oh no, I don't want to be in there, guys. There's already a rage quit. They AFK'd.
Oh, I actually love the little target dummy, like the boxing body or whatever. He's like going out shots on it.
It had no head either.
That is hilarious. That's actually pretty close to what the target dummies are. In arena mode.
Pretty good representation. I mean, TL are already going straight for the head of NRG in this game.
I gotta say, I love the intros. Love that TL's doing those every day. Those are a lot of fun. But we are gonna be straight on into it. 4th versus 5th. It's TL versus NRG in day 2 of the LCS playoffs here in 2023 summer. And I'm really curious to see what the adaptations are going to be, you know, what the reads these two teams do have on each other will be. You know, my assumption was that APA was not going to be getting Ziggs throughout this entire series. I do think a lot of people are looking towards him and saying, okay, if there's a weakness, it's that his champion pool is pretty different. Is he going to be as strong on meta picks, or can he move more towards off meta picks that he hasn't shown yet that will still work for him, right? Because when you look at his solo queue, you look through his most played champions, it's Cassio, it's Pantheon, it's Kled, it's champions that are not meta whatsoever. He has been showing the Ziggs, that has been working really well for him. But he has not impressed me as much on some of the kind of standard picks like an Azir or whatever. We haven't really seen a lot of that stuff from him.
Right.
So if some of these off-meta picks get taken away, what is he going to show us? You know, that I think is a really big question for TL in this best of.
Well, so far for NRG, one of the picks that I would look at for Team Liquid that has not been taken off the table is Tristana. The Kai'Sa is the first one that they're going to look for instead. So NRG have a chance to swipe that one off. As we were looking in the pre-show, the Analyst Lounge had already showed us that Tristana was one of the few picks that not only Palafox and both APA share, but it's also something that could be flexed between Yeon as well on Team Liquid.
Yeah, will be interesting to see where they do want to take that, you know, if they're going to be able to grab it. We've been seeing so much, and you know, on 13-13, we saw so much of just first pick Kai'Sa, and then it goes Rell on the other side, and Sejuani and whatnot, is those kind of pairings. I'm interested to see if that's going to change at all. You know, Sejuani is, of course, banned out. Xayah has been really, really popular as an answer. You know, there are a few different options here. But, you know, yesterday's series, I think, looked pretty similar in draft to what we were seeing on the previous patch. Yeah. So I'm kind of expecting a lot of those similar things. Rakan plus Rell, really strong 1-2 combo there. That was something that I think a lot of people were looking at in yesterday's series and saying, okay, we need to break this combo up. It is too powerful as far as the initial engage, then the follow-up here. It does tip the hand that it should be jungle Rell. Rakan going to be going down to the support position here for IgNar. That's one of his signature picks. So will be interesting to see what the answers are. Maokai, pretty standard.
And it's a good way to break up the fight as well. With such heavy engage already locked in for NRG, you want some powerful disengage. Maokai ultimate, great at being able to break up the fight and buy some space. The one thing about Kai'Sa is until her Void Seekers come online with that additional AP later in the stages of the game, you are pretty short range, and wow, I love that sign. As the Jayce is going to be locked in as well, this can still be flexed between APA or Summit if they choose to do so later in the draft.
And APA has not yet played a Kai'Sa game, so you know, generally you would be saying, okay, that's going to be AP Kai'Sa mid. You know, yes, it could be going down to bot, but because APA hasn't played it, we're not so sure. I would expect it to be mid Jayce because that has been much more common, but again, APA hasn't played that in the LCS. Summit hasn't played it this split, so we don't know exactly where things are going to go. We'll see if they are going to be looking to flex these around. Xayah, a pretty obvious third pick here for NRG, especially since they already got Rakan. We've been seeing that duo broken up quite a lot, but does give FBI the ability to kind of, you know, absorb any sort of engage that is coming in towards him. It's really tough to actually dive this champion.
Yeah.
And if you pair it alongside a lot of other champions that are pretty difficult to take down, it becomes really hard, I think, for TL to kind of find a target. And that's why I think that they may be moving more in towards a poke-based comp. I think Xayah can really struggle against that. If you just go AP Kai'Sa, if you have lethality Jayce, you add in even a little bit more additional poke and you play something that's a little bit more non-committal, that's where I feel like Xayah can really start to struggle, because Xayah really succeeds when people people are piling in towards her, stacking up on those feathers. You can get a really good pullback.
Yeah, and it puts the onus on NRG to get to objectives faster than Team Liquid, because if Team Liquid get the setup, you have to deal with Maokai saplings, you have to deal with Kai'Sa Void Seekers and the acceleration shock blast from Jayce. As we're getting through the second round of picks and bans, getting rid of some of those extra additional engaged support picks, the Nautilus taken off the table, and Ornn taken away from Summit as well. Sorry, Ornn guy from last week. We're not going to be getting Ornn today, at least in this game one. The Tristana still being taken off the table, as well as that Yeon.
Yeah, Tristana going to be taken away. I do think Tristana has less power when it's not paired with the Kai'Sa, because you don't have that AP plus AD double marksman setup. But a lot of teams are still down to go towards double AD marksman. It is going to be Renekton here on 4. So we're just waiting for Palafox's pick on 5. Malphite, would be kind of interesting. It's very much not a Summit pick. We'll see where he wants to go. Jax Renekton feels like something that could be the option. It is pretty skill-based matchup. A lot of people do prefer the Jax side because they feel it's somewhat skill-based, but then you have the ability to outscale, which kind of gives you a little bit of that edge. Summit has been so good in lane, but his weaknesses have kind of remained the same, where he tends to die in side lanes a tremendous amount. And he does lead the league in ISO deaths, and that is a problem for him. But it has to be stated that the lane advantage is massively towards Summit based on the regular season expectations. Summit, his CST at 10 was over plus 12.
Yeah.
Dhokla was 10th in the league. He's on the very opposite end of the spectrum. He was negative over 8 CS at 10. So, a huge differential between these two players. And, with Summit on his kind of signature Gnar here, that is going to be really powerful. And this is interesting. So it should be support Sett here paired with the Kai'Sa bot. It should be Jayce mid, Gnar top. And it's a bit of an aggressive look here. Some people have been talking about Sett into the Rakan, into the Rell, being able to kind of deny some of this engage. You can try as the Rell is coming forward, you can actually ult, buffer your ult, and just kind of take her out.
Yeah.
Pull her out of her Magnet Storm away from the rest of the team. So we'll see if he's gonna be able to find those good engages, but it has to be said, Sett engages are not exactly like the most reliable. Like it really depends on your flash. If you don't have your flash, I feel like this champion can become so useless in a 5v5. So we'll see if he's going to be able to make things happen.
And before we load onto the Rift, I want you to all know, Viva la LCS! LCS in Espanol is the official Spanish language stream of the LCS. This new viewing experience is live on LLA's Twitch and YouTube channels right now. Scan the QR code or go to lolesports.com to learn more. I want to follow up on the point you were making about this set for the composition Team Liquid, because TSM, they were one of the first ones to run it throughout playoffs so far. Huhi, I think, is the only other person this split to run support Sett. The nice thing about this pickup is that NRG do have a lot of short-range champions outside of Azir, because for Xayah, she's one more of the relatively short-range marksmen in the pool right now, and it's a way to punish how NRG want to play out those team fights.
Yeah, I mean, there are 3 melee champs essentially in there with the Rakan, the Rell, the Renekton, so you're going to be able to have some people to CC up, to slam together. You're going to be looking for those ult angles. It doesn't always have to be about the engage. It can be about the disengage or the counter engage. So, there are options to make this work, but I do think it can be difficult, and if Sett falls behind, you can become just kind of like a loot pinata. It's so easy to actually kill this guy off. You don't really have a lot of pick potential. You don't have a non-committal pick either.
All right, let's get ready for game 1 of our second playoff series between Team Liquid and NRG. As we take to the Rift here, no fancy level 1 evades quite just yet. It'll just be a 5-man defensive fan from both teams here.
So looking into it, this is actually APA's first ever game of Jayce in competitive, not even just in LCS, in NACL as well. He doesn't have a single game played of it. So it is a bit of a step away, from what he normally plays. When you're looking through his champion pool, it's almost all AP champions. He does have a couple games of that Tristana in this split, but that is about it. He really plays mages. That is what he is known for. So I do think this is kind of like a big opportunity for himself to really be able to prove that he can play a different style of champion at this level. Because if you come out here with the Jayce, if you fail with that, people are not going to have to respect in picks and bans. They're not going to have to worry about it going forward in this series. So I think it becomes a really important game 1 here for TL to establish that they have a little bit of flexibility, that you have to respect them in draft.
Yeah. Even off the top of my head, I was checking out APA's champion pool back in when he was playing at semi-pro through teams like Resolve and Barrage and even Maryville University on Collegiate. Now, there are some champions that I might be excited to see if he pulls them out, but Jayce was definitely not one of them. But While we're still in the early parts of the game, we're going to toss to Jatt with an interview with Coach ThinkCard from NRG.
Thank you very much. I'm here with ThinkCard. Game 1 draft in the books. Surprising thing to me was the APA Jayce. When it locked in, I immediately thought Summit. Did that throw you for a loop, or how do you feel like the draft went?
I mean, we were definitely thinking they could flex it, but he's been spamming it in solo queue, and they've been spamming Sett in solo queue. So we definitely know they've been playing these champions, and we just have to see how proficient they actually are at them.
All right, how do you feel about your team's win conditions coming into Game 1?
We're definitely a little bit outranged, but we have a lot of engage, and we definitely have a lot of our comfort picks. And Rell, Xayah, Rakan is just a trio that's been kind of running rampage across all regions, so I'm pretty happy with it.
All right, thank you very much, ThinkCard, and good luck in the series.
All right, cool.
Yeah, always interesting to hear, how much teams are paying attention to those solo queue accounts. And that's a big reason why a lot of players, when they're starting to actually learn a new champion or trying to get something ready for stage, they'll play on a Smurf account, right?
Yeah.
So people can't track that as easily, but, hearing that both Core and APA kind of tipped their hands through their solo queue accounts, knew that they were practicing these and let NRG know what to expect here for Game 1.
Gotta get those Smurf IGNs, Gotta keep things under wraps. But for NRG so far, nothing too exciting in the early game. There's a little bit of a mix-up in the top side of the map where Pyosik and Contractz ran into each other and said, oh, okay, I'm gonna go this way, and you're gonna go that way. We're gonna continue full clearing, as Pyosik seems to be playing more towards the top side of the map, but might want to reverse it and make sure that he ends up on the bottom side when Contractz is there, just to deflect any early games.
Yeah, we'll see if he is gonna head down towards that. And I also think when you are playing some of these melee supports like Sett, you want to be trading out your flash early, you want to be looking for aggressive plays, and pulling Pyosik down there to help enable you to do that, or to follow up on any sort of play that you could make. He's going to be a big part of that. So, he's kind of doing this reverse clear. Started down on bot side, went up towards top, and now he's heading down towards those Krugs, and could look for a play here, potentially on bot side when he gets there. IgNar had been chunked really low as we were actually listening to that coach interview. We saw that, but popped his potions, and when you do hit those Qs, the Gleaming Quill heal is actually pretty massive on Rakan, so you can sustain that back up. And Core, on this set, they're not going to have any ability to kind of apply consistent poke, right? It's going to be all about 100-0 play here. So we'll see if they can find that. Pyosik is hanging around, and it looks like they may want to try to look for a lane gank.
Either a lane gank or Pyosik is here just in case Contractz tries to force a dive. It looked like NRG was trying to stack up that wave and protect Contract's entrance there in the river.
But I think if he's doing that, he should be starting his recall, right? So he's spending so much time down here. I think he was looking for the play.
Okay, CoreJJ flashing around into FBI. Gnar dashes back with the battle dance, and FBI had to burn both summoner spells, and it's an overall summoner advantage for Team Liquid bot lane.
Yep, so they do try to force the play down on bot side. Not going to be able to really get too much besides those traded sums. Pyosik doesn't really get involved, but this is going to be double scuttle here for Contractz, who has just been clearing on the other side. APA going to be pushing out mid, as Palafox is pretty much dead but Palafox has not TP'd back yet, so he's going to be just fine. Now going to be looking up towards this top side. This is actually pretty dicey. Dhokla has the rage, ready for the stun.
Yeah, Summit is still mini, so he's forced to flash away from the crash down. The Q stun still lands, but Summit is out of there, but he did have to burn the flash.
Yeah, he gets away, but he burns the flash, and he loses the wave, which really sucks, right? Because he is known for his lane dominance. He's known from playing from ahead, and now he is down that full wave plus a little bit more, and he's going to be having to play with a bouncing wave and no flash. So this is always kind of that really dangerous situation as a top laner where you just got ganked, you spent your flash to survive, now the wave is in a bad spot, he's got to push it out, and he's not sure, is Contractz still around? Is he still waiting here? Because if Renekton TP's back, you've got to crash that wave, but if Contractz is behind him, you're probably dead.
Yeah. Big thing here, Summit is already taking preventive measures by warding that top river bush, because he knows that Contract's top camps are still coming up on the next reset, so Contractz could easily cycle those camps and then come back towards the top side and punish him without flash.
And I think that's why we're going to see Maokai just head up towards top. I am expecting him to be out there. APA got really low off his ulti. He's dead.
He could flash. APA flashes out first. Palafox saves it, but that is summoner advantage now for Palafox in the mid lane.
I'm actually so surprised that Palafox didn't flash follow. I feel like he could have maybe got him there. Maybe he was worried about someone being behind him or didn't quite have that Q cooldown. When I looked on the client I was in game on, it looked like the Q was maybe back up, but we can watch this one more time. It scoops him into the tower. That tower shot, does end up landing. As APA should have just walked it out. That I don't know if he didn't realize that the turret was on the cannon, because he didn't actually have to shoot back there, but he wanted to proc his phase rush, so he procs the phase rush, he runs through, but he does take a tower shot. And it would have been one more auto, one more Q, one more anything from Palafox for the solo kill. Didn't end up going for it. Maybe he wasn't sure that he could actually, catch up to him and kill him. I think he could have, But what they're going to look for very likely is as soon as Palafox has his ulti back, they're going to look for that guaranteed kill where he can flash in, shuffle in APA. As long as Contractz is there to follow up, they should have that kill. But TL very clearly know that their mid laner is at risk, so they're going to be playing around him.
Yeah, they learned from that Golden Guardians game where River and Huhi gave him the Sora welcome to NA treatment as well for APA, or at least welcome to LCS, I should mean. Now, APA is going to be protected here. Contractz and IgNar spending some time there gets answered by CoreJJ and Pyosik, so APA is still going to be safe here, but already you are seeing both of the solo laners from Team Liquid under heavy pressure from NRG.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, top lane, it was that gank from Contractz. You know, they went for this failed gank on bot side with Pyosik, and that is the cost of that, right? When you show on one side of the map, your laner on the other side of the map is going to be exposed to a counter gank, to a play on the other side, really. So Contractz, you know, was able to find something there. Then in the 1v1, Palafox has been getting the better of APA. He's up in farm. He had him pushed into his turret early. He made him take that early base for the TP. So then he was in this weird spot where he'd already used his TP early. Palafox was trading with him, then had the later TP. So he had to shove out that wave. That exposed him to the Azir ult there, forces his flash. So it's kind of this little snowball effect of when you make a mistake in lane, when you're falling behind in lane, you can get put into a worse and worse and worse spot.
Right. And it's one thing, you know, if Dhokla was given the advantage due to Contractz coming up and burning the Summit's flash, but the fact that someone was already down CS from Dhokla, and now his flash is gone, and Dhokla is snowballing that CS lead, trying to snowball a lead, it kind of counterdicts what we thought Summit was going to be able to do coming into game one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit hard because the wave was stacked at his tower, right? So yes, there was a CS advantage when the gank came in, but at the same time, he probably would even out a lot of that, right? You know, as he does farm up that wave. But I hear you, you know, it has been a good early laning phase here for Dhokla. You know, they're clearly trying to put emphasis on that. You know, getting this strong jungler in here with the Rell, grabbing a pick like the Renekton that can really set up ganks well. So there's a lot of CC. If you're in Gnar, there's so much CC between the Rell and the Renekton that you can get burst down, and, you know, they're trying to make things happen with that.
Team Liquid know that they are kind of outmatched, and APA no flash. They talked about it before. Contractz is waiting in the wings as well. APA is pinging for assist, but Pyosik is on the dragon. He would have to give up leashing it for it, and he just says, come towards me. I smote it down the dragon. I can provide disengage with my ultimate ability. APA just runs over to bot lane. IgNar is just going to collapse onto APA, and they get the charm down, and APA's got nowhere else to run. That's first blood for NRG. They're going to look for more into Pyosik, and he's caught with his pants down. NRG get a double kill for FBI.
Both bot lanes roam up, but it is the bot lane from NRG here that gets so much more. As FBI is able to come up there, gets first blood, gets a double kill. APA couldn't really contribute to that fight whatsoever, had got scooped under the tower, you know, was on a full-on retreat. Pyosik was also a little bit lower because he was actually soloing the dragon, so TL was in such a disadvantageous position. You know, look at the health bars. APA is never really going to be able to contribute here. Pyosik is in a tough spot as well. They try to look for the turn here. He looks to ult forward, but the problem is FBI just pops the ult, pops the cleanse, goes right through him, is able to pull back to the rest of the team. Yeon and Core cannot follow up whatsoever. And FBI, feeling himself after that one, knows it's a big early play.
CoreJJ, Hex flashing in, tries to catch FBI. He still has a flash to play with. Can Yeon dump enough damage in with the killer instinct to find him? FBI almost makes the outplay, but Yeon has the instant cleanse to get out of the feather root stun, and IgNar is able to escape, but Team Liquid answer back.
Yeah, that is really big. Getting the kill back right there is massive because he hadn't actually spent up his gold, right? So he was still just sitting on those tier 2 boots. He had a ton of gold to actually spend after that play. They're able to find the kill on him before he can actually get back to base there. It was Core flashing out from that brush that does find him, and they knew he had no ulti. He does blow the flash. He tries to look for that blade caller plus the flash play to try to turn it around on Yeon, but couldn't quite find it. Now Summit could potentially be in trouble. He's about to mega out though.
Contractz hasn't shown himself. Pyosik is over the wall. Contractz goes in, tries to ward off Summit before he can look for the engage. He knew that they were not going to be favored in that 2v2 with the ultimate up for Pyosik as well. So Contractz being able to show early, make sure that Dhokla gets out.
Yeah, that was weird though, because Pyosik just hit the wave, and so I guess they're just going to move away from the wave now, but like, he goes top and he kind of hits the wave, and then Summit's in this spot where now it's like, do you know for sure that Contract's based? You don't really.
Yeah.
He still needs to push out the wave. He's assuming that Contract's based. So he is going to be fine because he did in fact do it, but you can see he's still having to respect the fact that the jungler could be there, and that's why he's running away, and the wave's now frozen on him. So I feel like Pyosik kind of griefed him a little bit.
Not the best setup for top lane, but alas for Pyosik, he had to go towards the middle side since it seemed things were about to get volatile, as both NRG's jungler and support were there preying on APA.
Yeah, now that they know where Contractz is, you know, it is fine. He should be able to push out that wave. He should be able to play it a little bit more aggressively. But Summit definitely not playing this lane the way he would have wanted. Kind of has been on the back foot ever since that early gank. You know, won out in some of those trades, but has never really been able to kind of establish much of an advantage. And now Yeon here on that bottom side, going to get one solo plate to himself, going to be feeling really good about that. Has the much earlier first item, you know, has that shift completed despite the kills to FBI, because FBI went for tier 2 boots. So he did go for a bit of a different build here. You know, he's going towards that Kraken's lair, and as a result, you know, has himself kind of down in power right now.
And one of the things that Yeon has been able to do so far this split has been able to free up himself in the laning phase, while CoreJJ has been able to look for roams. The fact that Yeon can kind of handle himself in the 1v2, while Pyosik is still here to help guard him. It has been shown in multiple games when Team Liquid get ahead through bot lane, Yeon has been able to get himself fine, but APA is in a tough spot, dodges the Q stun, but the crackdown in the Magnastorm should be enough CC for Palafox to clean up the kill. Summit is here, but he's only on mini form, so it's got to be all ranged auto attacks, and Contractz should just be able to speed on out.
Yeah, remounts. Is he going to be able to get out of there? No problem. APA getting preyed on so far. They're attacking him on this Jayce. Palafox has been doing really well in the 1v1, have been able to force out that flash in the 1v1 solo, so then you know NRG is going to be calling in the reinforcements here, looking to take down this Jayce, put him into the dirt, and they're accelerating Palafox. He's now up, you know, good 20 CS, plus he has the kill, plus he has 2 assists. Things are looking a little bit dire for TL, who is a team that is so reliant on their super powerful early game. You know, this is a team that is dominated in the early game, one of the most dominating early games in the entire league, and often plays from such an advantage. Even with that advantage, they do struggle to sometimes close out games because their mid game, their late game is not that clean. NRG also, you know, they were showing it in the lounge with these kind of gold graphs. They're a team that is very up and down. Sometimes they're going to come out, they're incredibly dominant, they look so good, they're taking out top teams in the league. Other days they come out, they're throwing massive advantages, they're losing to bottom teams. You know, you don't really know what you're going to get with them, but it is concerning for TL, who is a team that often loses even with a massive advantage, to be down 1.5k early on against NRG.
Yeah, which is why this series is so interesting, because as you already mentioned, NRG sometimes can have these massive advantages, but then if they don't respect their opponents in a team fighting situation, sometimes those throws have occurred in the summer split. Team Liquid is not necessarily known for their ability to be able to make a comeback in the late game, but if there's a day to change that narrative, it would be against NRG today.
Absolutely, and just look at the opposite kind of priorities here. Look at all this vision invested in the top side, this area for TL to try to enable Summit, and then on the bot side, it's all of these red wards here from NRG. They're trying to cover that bottom quadrant of the map, clear that they want to play around Dragon, and TL is depending on Summit to get advantages in the 1v1. That's why they're putting so many wards up there, so he can play aggressive, so he knows that the jungler is on the top side, because they're expecting him to beat Dhokla in that 1v1, but so far it is not happening. He has not been able to establish that advantage, did get pressured early, and Dhokla has done a good job of maintaining a slight lead here, and really kind of just stopping one of the main advantages that I was expecting TL to have.
Yeah. And right now, all of Team Liquid's hopes kind of rest on Yeon, who does have the highest gold in the game so far. And with something like Static Shiv, he can accelerate that gold lead even further and further. And he's going to be a threat the later the game goes on. But Team Liquid are going to want to have some of that immediate power more sooner. Because otherwise, NRG, the way that Palafox is set up right now, he's very powerful. He has the crown, so he has a little bit more defensive power so that he doesn't get exploded by the members of Team Liquid. And then Dhokla's already kind of a menace for Team Liquid to deal with.
It's going to be a fight here. Dhokla's going to have to TP in. Contractz has gotten caught.
He pops the Magnastorm. He's tanky for a bit, but he's separated completely from his damage dealers before Palafox and FBI are able to escort him out. Summit is not Mega yet, so he doesn't have a lot of threat onto the members of NRG quite yet, but now he's building up that rage because the rest of NRG backed off.
And Dhokla's not wanting to TP, so it feels like NRG, you know, we're setting up, maybe trying to see, okay, can we get a pick? Can we make something happen in a 4v5? But they're not actually going to move multiple members over. There is no TP to answer Dhokla, so now they're going to come in.
4,000 HP. IgNar pops the quickness, looks for the backline, but doesn't quite make it with the grand entrance. Pyosik with the W goes all the way to IgNar. Now he's separated from the rest of the team. Can Team Liquid burn down the Rift Herald? But now they don't have smite advantage, so that should easily go over to NRG, and they take it with ease.
Yeah, Contractz, I think, didn't have smite either because I think he used it for the kill there. But NRG, at the end of the day, are going to be able to grab that Herald as IgNar just pulled Pyosik back so far. When you press W, when you hit that twisted advance, you're going for the ride no matter how far it takes you. And it was not an expected ride here as IgNar went in on the initial engage, pops the quickness, flashes forward, misses the grand entrance there on Yeon, but then Battle Dance back to FBI. You have that additional range when you are playing the Xayah Rakan, and that meant Pyosik got pulled so far back, they collapsed on him. On the other side, TL tried to take out the Azir. They weren't able to do it as he had that crown. He flashed out to safety. And so then at that point, they are in a 4v5. They are down their jungler, and they know they've got to disengage.
And the fact that NRG were able to, despite coming back to the Rift Herald on the second entrance late, they brute forced their way in before Team Liquid got a chance to set up their poke, because that is what this composition, as you already said at the beginning of the draft, is really structured on. You want to get to those objectives first. You want to poke with Jayce EQs. You want to poke with Yeon Void Seekers and make sure that NRG don't get a chance to walk in healthy.
Yeah. And I mean, you could see, some of the difficulties that they are going to have with this composition as well. It's like they were the first ones there, but at the end of the day, they couldn't find a clean turn, right? Was Dhokla coming late? They were first to set up. They're the ones who you would think would be able to kind of snap grab someone and make something happen. IgNar kind of failed his engage, to be honest, with the ulti flash, wasn't able to catch on Yeon, but then Teal didn't have that instant turn to be able to lock someone down and burst someone down that they would have wanted. And unfortunately for them, it meant, despite the fact that they kind of had the better setup, they did lose out at the end of the day. And TL now trying to get down to bot side to try to defend these turrets. But it's APA kind of playing from this pretty disadvantageous position, down 30 CS to the Azir. It's going to be a Nashor's second here, with that Conqueror build for Palafox to be able to deal with this 3 melee core front line that is going to be fairly tanky. And he is going to be a bit of a menace. FBI also incredibly strong. Yes, you can rely a bit on that poke, but I don't know if you can rely purely on the poke to really kind of save the day here. Yeah, you're going to also need some type of flanking threats from Team Liquid, and if Summit is not able to find a teleport angle where he can get access to the backline in Mega Form, the Palafox is going to be undeterred when he's just putting out soldiers and just attacking the front line ruthlessly at Team Liquid. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the TL needs something to kind of break up the map a little bit to try to pull someone apart, and that's why they're trying to play through side lanes. Jayce Gnar is a good 1-3-1, but it has been Summit getting pressured and has been APA playing from behind, so they just don't really have any pressure in these side lanes like they would want. Summit playing forward pretty aggressively, but his turret is going to be gone no matter what. We'll be able to stop a charge coming down on that tier 2, and you can see people moving up the river a little bit, so potentially some action to come out, but doesn't look like it's going to end up happening. And it's just going to get scarier for Team Liquid because NRG, if they have the winning side lanes at the moment between Dhokla and Palafox, they're going to be able to collapse in. Once the T1 turrets are taken out, they can go in through the mid lane, through the jungle, and then you lose safety even with that tier 1 turret in the mid lane as you're trying to set up that strong point with Yeon, who is still the only person that's ahead. And Summit, I mean, you're just too far out, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. He gets the flash away, but Contractz and Palafox clean it up easily. Yeah, League Leader and ISO Deaths is going to add another one, unfortunately, to the column there. From Summit, they will trade a tower on the other side. They're going to be able to get a dragon as well. So TL are getting something from this. It's not just, a completely useless death. So they will be happy to at least take some objectives on the other side. But that is one of the things that, when you start getting a reputation like this, teams will attack you more than the average player because they start to look towards you as someone who can be preyed on, who can give up those easy deaths. And that is why NRG, TP up Palafox. The tier 1 was already gone. Summit stayed around, so they TP him up. He comes in behind, and there's no way out for Summit, who has been attacked and who has been put down. It is now 20 minutes in, and Dhokla still maintaining that advantage. And NRG looking like they were in a really good spot. We'll see if they can continue to take some of these dragons away. The only kind of edge right now for TL is that they do have that 1 dragon lead. Right. It is 20 minutes into the game, so Baron is alive for the taking. And when you have something like an Azir, once Palafox completes the Nashor's Tooth, I imagine it should be super easy for both him and FBI to burn it down, even if they don't have all 5 members. So that Baron pressure becomes even more looming for Team Liquid to deal with. As Summit is now on the bottom side of the map, he has teleport to be able to respond, but the fact that Dhokla is waiting here in Fog in this bottom jungle makes things really difficult for Team Liquid if they overstep themselves here in the mid lane. Yeah, absolutely. It does become pretty difficult, if you get a little bit too aggressive. There are a lot of ways to start fights here, for NRG, so you're gonna have to be pretty careful about it. If they can get into the backline, especially APA is gonna be the target in most of these fights. Yeon is gonna be a little bit more slippery there with the cleanse, with the ulti, but APA is gonna be preyed on, and if they can find him at the beginning of these fights, it will be tough for TL to win out. Contractz trying to play with vision. You can see that TL at least wants to maintain vision around the Baron. They know when you're going up against Azir, plus a high DPS marksman like that Xayah, that Baron can get shredded in a hurry. So you always have to keep eyes on it, and TL are playing pretty heavily around this area to try to at least maintain some vision.
NRG's game plan right now, get to mid-wave, touch it, be able to shove it in, and then go back into the river and look to take control of vision. The fact that there's still some saplings and some wards from Team Liquid prevents NRG from being able to threaten Baron right away. And as long as Team Liquid can continue maintaining some sort of vision there, they can stall it out until the next dragon, which will be the next objective for NRG and Team Liquid to play for.
Yep, unless NRG are just willing to straight up flip it. But then that becomes really difficult because that's where the Kai'Sa, that's where the Jayce can really kind of have an open season on you in that pit. You know, shooting fish in a barrel, just continue hitting you with that poke, continue poking and prodding away, and making that pretty difficult. It is not going to be an AP variant for the Maokai, so the poke won't be doing that much. But Dhokla, you can see, forced to ulti as Summit had a red buff and was actually chasing him down there in that bot lane. So they force out that ulti defensively. It's a slight win, but Contractz looking like he's going to fight.
They're engaging, and Dhokla doesn't get the TP first. Summit has Mega Form. He's right onto the back line here. FBI is stunned up. He gets the wall down, but Summit takes a lot of damage, so he jumps right into the front line. Dhokla teleports in, but he's still alive. He's able to sustain up with the Gore Drink, and he gets out, and the rest of NRG can reposition for this fight. They look for Yeon. They know that Yeon is the big target for them. Big root onto the back line as well. Yeon is caught out. He's forced to flash. CoreJJ handling everyone as he can, but he gets taken up by Palafox over the wall. That's a huge pickup for NRG. And with 4 members up, they can't go for the Baron because Contractz is dead and no jungler on their side, but they're going to look to push down to the mid lane.
3 for 1 at the end of the day. A very close fight on both sides. It looked like it was going to be a good angle here for TL because Summit had Mega ready and he had just forced out the Dominus from Dhokla on the other side, but Dhokla arrives, they burst down Summit, he barely survives with that Gore Drinker, and APA now has got to try to stop this Baron. Nice shock blast on the Palafox. He's got to try to go for it, I feel like. You can't just give this up.
APA is going to look for an angle. Impossible. He has flash, but it's just too difficult for him to get in there. Dhokla is also bodyguarding, making sure that Palafox doesn't give up the shutdown, doesn't go down, and he can just slice and dice over the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? You know, maybe you want to just flip it, flash in there and hammer for him, but I guess he thinks, hey, I'm just going to get stunned up, I'm just going to get locked down and end up dying. So here's the play one more time. Again, it was about this TP coming in from Summit right here. Dhokla does look for an answer right on that ward. He comes out without Dominus, though, when he's already low, so you're thinking, this guy's got to be dead for sure, right? But wrong! They can't actually finish him off. He's able to barely survive. Not enough damage was actually put down on him. And unfortunately, he gets that Gore Drinker off. He gets that little bit of healing off, and TL start to fall apart here as FBI takes down Pyosik. Yeon is pushed back, and the soldiers over the wall from Palafox are able to get another kill. You know, Core had a nice angle for a turn, but they just didn't have enough damage there to actually make anything happen from it. And now NRG has exploded the gold advantage here. And you can see picking up some of these defensive items as well. Palafox already has a stopwatch. FBI just grabbed a Hex Drinker, which seems a little bit weird to me. I'm not going to lie, because it is just the Kai'Sa, but you know, I feel like Lifesteal probably would have made a lot more sense to just be able to sustain through it, but I guess maybe he feels the only way he can die is to the Kai'Sa, so we'll see if that works out. Either way, is going to be the Dragon here for NRG, so evening up the Dragons, opening up a massive gold lead. Tier 1 tower bot is dead for sure. It's just a question of how many can you get with this Baron buff.
Yeah, Pyosik and CoreJJ are kind of looming here. IgNar looking for the play. Nice interrupt from Pyosik, but he's still got the quickness, so Pyosik is going to be locked down. Thankfully, he's a tank. He sustains a lot of damage, is able to walk away with half of his HP still available, but NRG got the turret that they want.
Yeah, they're going to get the tower. They're just trying to buy time, basically, though, for APA, who's splitting on that top side. And if you can trade evenly, you are trading up when you are down and when you are against this Baron buff. But it's going to be about the C tier on the tier 2. NRG moving forward, trying to get more from this. Dhokla's gone back, so he's going to get to the tier 2 top. Does not have teleport, so as APA backs off, NRG will have to be a little bit careful about a potential TP flank from APA. And that is why Dhokla's pushing forward, trying to track this Jayce. They know they can't give him that angle, but it will dissuade them from pushing any further. So thus far, it's just a trade of towers during the Baron buff. So not too much really gained here from NRG after the initial take.
And there's only 30 seconds left, so NRG don't have much time to really get anything else more. So from the side of Team Liquid, it could have been worse. It's still a 5,000 gold deficit that they have to climb against, but they still have scaling on their side. APA's finally completed the Muramana, so his poke is actually going to at least feel impactful. And Yeon, once he completes that third item, then the Void Seekers will start the back punch.
Yeah, he is going to be looking for those Ludens. He's even playing Ingenious Hunter for the item CDR, for more Ludens procs and things like that. So the poke will be ramping up, but the question is, can you find those angles? So IgNar going to look for a bit of an engage onto Summit. Can't find it, but they do knock down another tower there. So 6.2k is the gold lead now. It's actually a full maw for FBI, so I'm a little bit surprised about that. Well, actually a lot surprised about that, to be honest with you, but we'll see how it does work out for him. Generally you only see people go into things like Maw instead of lifesteal when it is like 100 to 0 burst potential from a mage, right? When it's something like a LeBlanc or maybe like a Syndra or whatever. So this is definitely atypical, but if he feels the only thing that could ever kill him is Kai'Sa, ulting into the backline and one-shotting him, then hey, more power to you. We'll see if it works out. But I do feel like in a lot of situations, he may wish that he had some lifesteal, because if you can hit him with a Shock Blast and a Void Seeker or two, he's not going to have much lifesteal in that kit with his current build. So may be able to kind of just dissuade fights by landing a little bit of poke onto him. Whereas normally people these days are just going third item Bloodthirster, and that's enough to kind of just heal up off one camp, one wave, whatever.
Even with the Maw, that was one Void Seeker of damage to the FBI, and now that the Ludens has been completed, so FBI is going to have to be careful and play a little better dodgeball as they get ready for the next Dragon objective. Dhokla has already taken the time to push up this top tower, so someone will have to respond. And meanwhile, it's the battle for vision once again, but this time on the bottom side of the map as NRG start to push Team Liquid away from the safety of their jungle.
Yep, trying to push them out. It's just going to be playing about objectives here. TL not under a tremendous amount of pressure right this minute. But it is going to be about when this Baron does spawn here. That is really the next thing on the list for NRG. In 120, we're going to see them moving up, starting to create vision around that area. For now, they're just playing down through bot lane. They're looking to see if there's an option to get this tier 2. They're trying to get a little bit more gold, and they're going to look for APA.
APA flashes away. The Palafox ulti doesn't quite connect, but the turret might be the prize for NRG if they can just get a couple more hits in. The rest of Team Liquid don't want to re-engage on this one. The turret falls down. NRG go back into the safety of the jungle.
Yeah, nicely done by NRG. They get down there, they get the flash of APA. Palafox, I don't think would have had a scoop that would have killed him anyway, but you just see the animation coming out and you have to flash or it's going to be too late. So does end up using that flash. This buys enough time though for NRG to get that gold, get back to base. They're going to fully spend up, and now we're going to see them move out towards this Baron and start getting vision around it. You can see some pinks have been picked up. You can see a lot of these luxury items are done. Palafox is actually closing in on a death cap as well. So this is going to be pretty scary stuff here. There's a BT, likely on the way for FBI as well, and they're going to be kind of answering TL at all turns.
Yeah, Palafox has just been that guy this game ever since being able to dominate APA in lane, call over Contractz to punish his lack of summoner spells in the early stages of the game, and being able to play so well in team fights, even while down almost on critical HP, is able to survive. The early investment into the crown has paid off well, and he's maintained that high shutdown bounty as he looks to be one of the main team fight carries as we get into the Baron.
I mean, it's all up to APA and Yeon from this position. They have got to land poke. They're on the Baron. You've got to soften them up. You can't take them in a straight 100-0 fight, so it's got to be about landing enough poke, but the Baron is going down fast. FB is already at half health, though.
Summon is trying to look over the wall. 3,000 HP. Nature's Grasp locks them all down. Summon is into the pit, but will he expire? Oh, but Pyosik steals the Baron! It was an early smite from Contractz! Pyosik is able to get the Baron for Team Liquid, and now can they clean up the fight? I say it's Team Liquid, you just get out of there. You've got the Baron already!
Yeah, they get the Baron. It's just going to cost them 2 lives here. We'll see how much energy can get with this. But TL could maybe even just rush straight towards the Dragon and get that as well. That is a massive steal here from Pyosik, as NRG just try to finish it in their face. They don't get that smite secure. Taylor on the Dragon, but a TP is coming through here from Dhokla. It's just him. Now a second TP coming in, but they should be able to get this and get out.
Wait, someone hit it! Wait, someone hit it!
Oh.
Okay, CoreJJ gets him with the face smack. CoreJJ is going to go down for that price. It looks like he wanted to Hex Flash over the wall and get out, but he had to sacrifice his life to ensure that they got the Dragon. Dhokla flashing on top of APA to make sure he doesn't get out alive. Yeon doesn't have any more mana, so he can't really save him, but he gets the blast cone out, and APA and Yeon walk away.
Yeah, nicely timed there by Yeon. They got to be a little bit careful, though, because IgNar could go over the wall.
Right over the wall, as you called it. Palafox Palafox is able to sweep on over, and Pyosik is just a tank. He can't do anything against this guy. He has to wait for Yeon to look for the damage. Palafox might be exposed. He flashes, but he can't get back over the wall. He uses the stasis to block out Maokai's ulti as well, and Yeon is caught out. And NRG, they have the damage dealers. Team Liquid don't. Summon goes to the Mega Fort, but he cannot approach this wave, as NRG will look to push into the base of Team Liquid.
This could be the game potentially. We'll see how much NRG wants to go for. There are some low health bars here, but it's 30 seconds on APA, and they're going for it.
It's just pretty much all tanks, and Summon has got many, so he's even squishier. CoreJJ throws his life in there for the cause. Facebreaker doesn't do anything. NRG are undeterred. They're ready to take game one into their own hands, but IgNar's taking a lot of damage for the turret shots. Dhokla stares, is popped. IgNar goes down the Summon. Oh my god, it's a Clown Fiesta. Summon and Pyosik are going to defend this with the rest of their lives, and they just might get away with it.
Oh my god, IgNar walked up in the tier 3 tower up in top lane, got hit by it on the exit, gets taken down. Getting a little bit fast and loose here in this one. As we can see, NRG one more time committing to the Baron. TL looking for that play. Look at Contractz. He actually went over the wall, got rooted up. And then I think, you know, it's all the CC on him, but he's not in the pit either. Pyosik just flashes past him. Contractz is not even in the pit. You're trying to keep out the enemy jungler. You kept yourself out. That was a horrible play from Contractz. You know, rewatching that is like, that's not even a steal. That's a donation from Contractz. That was really, really bad. So he gives over the Baron to TL. And then down here for this Dragon, I think the read was that the Q from Yeon was going to finish this off, but it doesn't quite do it. So CoreJJ realizes, I got to Hex Flash back towards the Dragon. Thankfully, at least he did get it. But then we saw this long extended play where a lazy recall was eventually punished here in the base. You know, Yeon got caught over the wall. But pretty messy stuff. And then NRG trying to finish the game, but didn't end up having the minions. IgNar gives up a freebie on the way out. And Summon now in the area. He's looking.
And he's out of there. The blast cone back to safety. Pyosik gets engaged on by Palafox.
What is he doing there?
Throws out the ulti, roots him up. Hey, Palafox doesn't have flash from before. Maybe CoreJJ can lock him up, and Yeon is just dumping damage into Palafox's back. The killer instinct was so easy and so free. Summon is able to get a shutdown on top of that as well. And they find IgNar in the back half of it thanks to APA.
Oh my god, NRG have got to settle down here a little bit. They have a massive lead, but they are starting to make me nervous that they might actually be throwing this game here. TL starting to have some signs of life, finding picks, finding plays, punishing some of the mistakes here from NRG. And now that tier 2 tower is gone, Palafox is gone, so you could even maybe take more. Someone's pushing out topside, and APA and Yeon are really starting to ramp up this poke damage here. You know, APA has been put down pretty heavily in this game, but he's now on 3.5 items. The death cap is complete on the other side, but they're becoming a legitimate threat, and Summon actually going Hullbreaker, so he wants to commit to playing through that side lane.
Oh boy.
And we'll see if he can actually create an advantage in that side lane, because hey man, like, they're not actually that far away. You know, one more bad play from NRG, and this is a very winnable game from TL, because they are now one Dragon here from Soul. You give them the Soul, it starts to become a real problem in a game that was looking pretty much wrapped up.
And death timers are so long at this point that NRG, even if they lose some of their frontline members, it's just so hard for them to actually prevent Team Liquid from just walking up and destroying towers. Things like Jayce, Kai'Sa, and Gnar all just destroy them in a matter of seconds.
The BT now finally completed though for FBI, and now things are going to get more difficult for TL, because now it's not really that viable of a poke target, you know, to hit FBI. You know, if he doesn't have minions around, sure, you can poke him out around objectives, but if there's a minion, if there's a jungle camp, he's going to be healing right back up to full over and over. You can see Summit with that Hullbreaker pushing up on top side, has that empowered cannon, which is going to be a lot more difficult to take down, but Dhokla fancies this fight, man. He's going to look for it.
He's got a GA, so he's willing to trade at least one life for one life if Summit goes down, and he has FBI in his back pocket for reinforcement. Summit is on the run now. He has flash, but he knows that there's no chance unless he gets the flash out, and FBI featherstormed into the wall, and he couldn't take him out!
Oh, he couldn't get him. Didn't want to commit the flash to follow. Summit barely survives there. Is able to get away. I think he would have had the win in the 1v1, but knew someone was coming, was very far up and very, very close to actually going down and getting punished here once more. Summit though won't have flash, won't have mega, so he's got to start charging this up, because it's going to be a fight for this Dragon. TL really wants to get Soul here. They are first in the area, and they're just rushing it. They're going straight onto it, and NRG are showing up late, and look at them. They're getting poked so heavily as they walk in.
It's so hard for them to be able to brute force their way through. Summit is building up his mega form as well. Dhokla is already half HP. His Hysterics gauge is already popped. Contractz looks for the engage, but he whiffs on everyone. CoreJJ middle to the back line, forcing FBI and Palafox to reposition into the right flank. Summit is taking up damage. 30 30,000 HP on the Dragon. 3.8k. It resets. Pyosik gets forced off, forced to flash. They go right back on the summon now that he's mini farmed. IgNar is able to find him with a knockup, but Palafox is able to take him out. Pyosik still has a smite, but he is out of this one. The Dragon goes over to NRG, and Team Liquid now have to run. Dhokla is looking for the chase. He doesn't have flash, but they can look for the re-engage and cut them off. The mid lane is going to be a dicey one to walk through. They have to walk through the left side of the jungle.
Yeah, they're going to try to move towards Baron because they don't have minions here, but Dokla's in trouble.
Killer Instinct! Dhokla takes too much poke! That's one isolated pick to the side of Team Liquid, and now the poke is starting to hammer in even further. APA was kept down early in the game, but he's been able to farm up and keep his cool, and now he's doing some real damage.
Yeah, TL are fighting back here in this one. NRG getting a little bit split up. Dhokla was kind of left behind there a bit, and maybe he wanted to hold the mid wave, but he gets tagged by some of that poke, and then the Killer Instinct is there to actually push him out, and now Pyosik is kind of out there by himself.
And NRG knew that
he's just dead for free. Now they get Baron. Like, what is that?
Dios mío, Azael, I don't know what's happening.
Oh my god.
This is una locura if I've ever seen one for sure. NRG, man, they now have 7,000 HP. They're burning down the Baron. There is no smite available from the side of Team Liquid, so that should be an easy one. No donation from the side of NRG, but now they have to walk out because the poke is back. Yeon is looking for more with the Void Seekers. Magnetstorm is already popped by Contractz, and they're keeping them on the run. The slow from the Sorelda's Grudge off of APA Shock Blast is keeping them in firing range, and Team Liquid are just trying to keep them there for even more poke and to deter them from being able to reset.
Yeah, they're trying to keep them involved in this fight. You know, they like their chances in it. Without flashes and without a lot of those big hard engage cooldowns, it's tough for NRG at this point of the game to actually get a good fight, right? Because if you try to hard engage forward, you don't have the flashes, you don't have those abilities to actually lock down APA and Yeon, they're gonna destroy you with the amount of poke that they have. Shojin's already done, so you can get the 2 accelerated shock blasts per gate now at this point of the game for APA. And the Void Staff now completed for Yeon as well. I assume he's gonna be working towards a Death Cap last item, which is gonna be really powerful, but Pyosik, he really wanted to check the Baron, but the problem is you have to think ahead to the point where it's like, okay, if they're doing Baron, what can you do with no teammates around you? And the answer is nothing, right? And that's why you just can't be in that kind of situation. So him going down gives over a free Baron to NRG. His team tries to kind of fight their way out of that spot and get something from it, but not able to do it. You know, and both teams definitely playing pretty sloppy here in this game number 1, but it's still TL down 8k gold. And NRG are just one fight away from closing out this game, taking game number 1 of the series.
NRG gets some vision inside the base of Team Liquid as they push out on this top side of the map. The Baron buff still available to them for the next minute and a half. Summon is forced to recall back to make sure that he is here for a defense if NRG push all the way through the Nexus turrets. This should be a free inhibitor as there's no response from Team Liquid. The minions do enough damage. IgNar is chunked out to half HP, and they're looking for the engage. Void Seekers from Yeon are firing onto the backline and landing their mark. Last one misses as Contractz leaping forward, wanting to look for the engage. Nothing is found. NRG get with the inhibitor, though, and walk away.
NRG get the inhibitor. They will back off. But again, it's another Baron. Not able to get much. IgNar's maybe going to go down.
Void Seeker, IgNar, does he have the quickness? Does he have anything to get out the grand entrance over the wall? CoreJJ looks for the face breaker. It still doesn't do enough damage. IgNar is alive. CoreJJ goes down. It looks like Team Liquid had the pick, but IgNar baited them in, and now they have the man advantage.
Yeah, Core flashed in to try to make something happen there, but Yeon, you know, wasn't able to get the kill, and he just had to flash out, so Core ends up going down. IgNar gets out with the thanks to that stopwatch, staying alive. Somebody trying to charge up his Mega. It is just going to be another inhib going down, though. But this is yet another Baron. We're 40 minutes into the game. NRG has been so far ahead for so long, they still have not been able to close this one out. It's not like an Elder is even going to be available for them to kind of get that game-winning objective to guarantee it. So the game will continue. And yes, there is a massive gold lead for NRG, but that has not changed for the last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it seems like at this stage of the game, an 8,000 gold lead does not mean as much as it would have 20 minutes ago when NRG were seemingly in sole possession of just taking and closing this game. But the fact that Team Liquid have been able to, off the mistakes of NRG and failing to close out or being able to pick off members, AP and Yeon, the poke that they have been able to land and just cause so much chaos in NRG's backline. The fact that Team Liquid are still in this game is just off the back of these two.
Absolutely, but we do have to point out, Yeon spent his flash there, and there's going to be flash for Contractz, there's going to be flash for IgNar, and they are going to be looking for this TLAD. They're going to try to burst them down. That's why he grabbed the stopwatch here, to try to stay safe. We'll see if he's going to be able to do it. Both teams looking like they want to fight for this sole point. We're going to Dragon number 7 here, so it's the maximum. And both teams are going to be looking for it. We'll see if TL can find their way in, though, because it is NRG controlling this area, and CoreJJ could be in some trouble.
And for NRG, they don't necessarily need to start up the Dragon. They can wait for the top wave to build up with Super Minions since the inhibitor is down.
Has to force.
But they're burning down the Dragon as well, trying to force Team Liquid to come in. Summon is Mega. As you called it out, it's about to expire soon if he doesn't jump in and commit, but if there's not a good angle, then it's not safe for him to go for it. And NRG are going to secure the Cloud Soul for themselves. Nothing that Team Liquid could do. And now, if Team Liquid are caught out here, there's a giant minion wave building up on the top side of the map through the top wave. They have to recall, they have to defend.
Yeah, someone had to flash out of there. Dhokla was chasing him down. And with that Cloud Soul moving quickly, they're going to send someone up towards that top wave, try to clear that out. The other 4 from TL will stay down towards bot. And now TL are just kind of relegated to staying into the base, waiting until another objective comes up here where they can try to move out and contest. And NRG, though, you know, they're completing their full build. So if TL can somehow hold on for a while, the gold lead is going to kind of stop mattering at a certain point. But it is triple inhibs now down. The mid and the top inhib will be back relatively soon, so it won't be too many waves that they have to deal with that for, but it is going to be a very difficult task in these next couple minutes here for TL.
Dhokla popping the dominance, ready to launch into Team Liquid's front line and start battling. But the dominance is going to expire. Maybe it was just to show maybe some aggression, but it might have been popped too early here from NRG.
I mean, it's all about these waves that we see coming in. Double super wave, double super wave, double super wave, all moving out on the map. So once those arrive, it becomes so hard to even clear those out that as long as the enemy team just kind of stays around and makes you deal with them, it's so tough to have that split focus where you're having to clear out 6 supers at a time plus deal with your opponents, and that's where it can really just get impossible. You can start to get run over. But TL are trying to stop NRG from basing. They know that they have them chunked out, so they don't want them to get back to base and reset before this Baron.
Yeah.
They want to keep them here, and they want to keep them low on health. So they have their solo lanes out towards top, out towards bot. They have Yeon here out on the map trying to just poke them constantly and trying to keep them involved. But this is scary stuff for TL because they are alone in this 5v3 for now. Palafox is going back to base. He's going to be able to TP back to the team. And now Jayce is going to have to TP up here as well. But look at Dhokla getting that rage bar channeled up, and he's going to be looking for a flank.
And he's in fog right now, and so is Palafox until he steps into the river. The Dhokla can just pop on over to APA. There's no way that they can answer. 4,000 HP on the Baron. It is taken, secured by NRG. And Team Liquid now are going to have to rely on potentially this last base defense.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do it. You know, it is going to be inhibitors coming back pretty soon, so this is the last wave of double supers, but double supers plus Baron is so hard to actually wave clear, even if there's not a lot of enemies around, and all 5 of NRG are here. We'll see if they can make it happen. It's all up to the poke. It's got to be APA. It's got to be Yeon hitting this poke non-stop, and we'll see if they can make it happen.
Void Seeker will connect. It connects on the Dhokla, the front line. They want to look for FBI and Palafox and try to chunk out the damage dealers out. Nexus turret 1 falls. Summon is below 50% HP. Has to go back to the fountain before he can engage on Mega Form. He's built half of his rage form up. APA fires 1 more shock blast into Palafox.
They're gonna have to force
it off. Summit is going in. Dhokla pops the dominance. Nature's Grasp. It's Contractz right onto the backline, stopping APA from being able to fight back. Yeon is retreating right behind the base, so he can't really do any damage. So that means FBI just gets the free fire into the front line of Team Liquid. Yeon is forced to both use Flash Cleanse and Killer Instinct already on top of it. NRG have the numbers advantage, and they should just be able to walk this one in. FBI flashing forward, has the Yeon inside, so he has all the confidence to be able to take out Yeon and to be able to take out Team Liquid. Yeon is in the fountain. He goes golden, but all for naught, as Summit is the last one standing outside of the fountain, and NRG, PokeConf be damned, they will take game 1.
Nicely done. NRG gonna be able to grab game number 1. 45 minutes it took them to close this one out. Was a pretty big lead for quite a long time, but they did struggle to finish. TL definitely made them work for it. And I have to say, this is kind of what we signed up for when we saw these 2 teams in playoffs. We knew it was going to be messy. We knew it was going to be kind of wild, back and forth, really difficult to predict. Both teams having some really good moments, both teams having some really bad moments. And it's just going to be about the adjustments going into game 2. I mean, there's so much you can talk about from this one. The things that feel like they are most kind of impactful on the series to me are the things that happen early on in the game, right? You know, there's so much you could talk about in mid game and late game as far as mistakes and what they should have done, but like that's not stuff you're going to fix between game 1 and game 2. So to me, I'm thinking about, do you want to run back APA on a champion like Jayce? Because he was really taken advantage of in the early lane. You know, Palafox did really well in the 1v1. They were able to punish him. They were able to get some kills on him. And, you know, are we happy with this kind of matchup on the top side, or do we need to ban Renekton? Is that going to be an issue? Are we going to move to red side and look for counterpick to Summit? You know, what exactly is going to be the answer for TL? Because they want Summit to dominate Dhokla in the 1v1. That, I think, based on preseason expectations, was expected. And it didn't happen at all in this one. It really just took the one gank from Contractz, and then Dhokla was fine on his own. And it wasn't even that kill. It was just a denial of CS. It was the force of the flash. But Dhokla did great in the 1v1. He held up completely fine. So I think, you know, a couple kind of question marks there in the soul lanes for TL. And on the other side for NRG, I mean, what can you really say? I think they played a great early game, and they just struggled to close.
Yeah, Palafox on his most played champion of the split so far, the Azir, able to pretty much manhandle Jayce, APA's Jayce in the mid lane. But that's going to break it down for game 1, so we're going to head over to LCS Lounge to review that one for us.
No, Raafaa, we're not done breaking that one down. Just send us the gold graph. I need to see the gold graph.
This is why, if you missed the pre-show, we were guessing gold graph.
Energy.
Let me see it.
Look, that looks surprisingly clean for how shenanigans-filled that game was.
You can see all the dips, though. Like, right around 30. We got the other one, like, between at what, like 37 minutes or something. That little like whoop.
The game should have ended at 31 with that first massive dip, but then it did not. And then there were a total of 7 dragons taking this game, the maximum amount of dragons you could possibly have.
8 if you count the Elder.
Baron steals. It was insane.
Welcome to Team Liquid vs.
45 minutes.
Where the players are made up and the goalies don't matter.
My brain was broken. I'm not lying. There are multiple points in the game where I was like, is Energy actually going to lose with a gold advantage?
Zoomed in.
Yeah.
Looks completely normal, was not completely normal.
Like, if you took the trend, it's smooth. But when you actually look at it,
it felt like there was some comeback stuff, but I guess.
Well, I think going from a 9,000 gold lead to a 6,000 gold lead is a
pretty rough.
Yeah.
3,000.
And the fact that it's 45 minutes long. Like, how many games?
It was looking pretty dicey when you're like, okay, TL can use their poke. It's gonna be great, guys.
Yep. Hey.
It was not great.
There was, when we did that whole gold swinging segment, there was a game where you lost with a gold advantage, and it felt like that was happening when there was one point where Renekton literally got picked on mid lane, and you're like, that's a 55-second death timer.
Yeah.
That's a game-ending death timer. So let's start talking about the top lane. We want to talk about top lane coming into the series, our expectations on that one. How about you guys? What was your thoughts?
Okay, so this was something we were focusing on before the series. So these are stats from 2023 LCS Summer. And the way this worked, Summit was incredibly dominant in lane, but then at the bottom you see his ISO deaths, literally the highest of anyone. He dies isolated more than anybody else in the league, definitely amongst top laners. And then Dhokla didn't have good laning stats, but also didn't really die on his own that much. That's what these stats mean to say.
Their KDAs are surprisingly similar, too.
They die about an equal amount in aggregate.
Well, and it's not like Summit has 10 times more kills and assists either. It's actually relatively even in that. It's just that Summit has an insane lane phase. But this game, they actually did a great job targeting him. The Gnar pick was not super effective in lane. Actually, Dhokla was up CS with the help of a gank that came in early. And so this is one of the big advantages people were worried about that did not come through at all for Team Liquid in this game. I think one of the reasons they fell behind in gold, actually.
Yeah, and I think Contractz did do a good job to path top after, I believe, getting double scuttle to try to like set it up, right? It's like, okay, Dhokla, you're on this Renekton. We are going to give you some attention. So, and the more... something that piggybacks off of that is we're used to seeing TL have these massive early game gold leads, right? This game, that was NRG. NRG had like a 1.4, kind of a steady 1.4 gold lead at 14 over TL, which is surprising because I think they're in season. 1900. Boom. So that was a massive difference this game.
Yeah, I think while the game took a while to close out and it was scrappy, they had the lead the whole time. To be fair to NRG, the game actually never really slipped away from them. Team Liquid was never pushing into their base, and this was the fight that kind of won it for them.
Yeah, just even before getting into this fight, I just want to make a big call out to Palafox, who dominated his lane.
Yes, he crapped on APA.
He
dumpstered APA.
Had a heroic game, basically. And I love the fact that you mentioned the draft, because the drafting thing from Team Liquid side, I love the interview that you had, Jatt, with think card. Because it's like, we saw them practicing it, and it felt like the whole gambit was, we need to see if Jayce is flexible on our team.
Yep.
Clearly, it is not. The early laning phase went far too poorly for AP8, and I think they will try and pivot from that. Because Palafox gave them the lead, it bled into the jungle, and then they started to control the game really well up until the back and forth throws. So I really want to see what the changes are going to look like going into game 2. But as we head to a break, let's take a look at the story of NRG's mid laner Palafox in this upcoming video. Peace.
Palafox is a very ambitious player. I think there will almost never be a time as a team where he will not have a say on what's going on. It's really fun to work with a player like that. He very much knows what he wants, and he's not afraid to say what he wants. He really thrives when he has resources. Whenever you get him gold or get him a lead, you feel like you're going to win the game.
Dignitas, they're trying to take the fight. Dhokla has joined up, but is it the wombo combo from your dreams? But it's NRG who find 2 for Palafox.
Well, I think spring of 2023, we rode a really big high going into playoffs. We finished 4th on a team that probably most people would think would be like around 8th.
At the end of the split, everything was like starting to come together, and I think that like usually for me, I'm the type of player that like ramps up.
Drivers here to the fight, going on in, getting the shutdown, the action of Palafox, zone up, and all the way on the wayside. Z9 falling 1 by 1. CLG, a triple for Palafox, and the ace for the team.
I just remember the general vibes against C9, and we're like, you know, we went 1-3 against them, but like we actually like played like pretty well. We could have won. And I guess going into the game against EG, I was like 9-1 or something against Jayce. And I'm like, I just could have carried because like I was feeling really confident in Jayce at the time.
Luger is low and they take him out, but FBI is going to be traded back. Now Inspired's killed second. JoJo wants to get away, but Palafox puts a bullet in his back.
I was just like the only person that could I felt like could push the game forward.
Finally, he drops, but he takes Palafox with him. EG will take that.
Once we got to the big matches, there was a bit of pressure that we weren't expecting, and at the playoff matches, like I would say, we kind of choked.
Evil geniuses are just making easy work out of them. CLG has lost the game. They have lost the series.
I kind of messed up. I was definitely like upset, and other people were also upset. After our issues got like so glaringly obvious, like we just talked about it.
I see myself and Palafox as actually kind of opposite players. I think what Christian excels in is what maybe was the hardest thing for me to excel in when I was a player, which is like playing for himself, getting himself strong. Whereas when I was a pro player, a lot of my success was off the back of helping my teammates and like facilitating a lot more rather than being that guy. I actually think the dynamic between me and Palafox is really great because I'm able to like help open his eyes to how he can impact the team game versus just him being great as an individual.
Compared to last playoffs, like I think I do a lot outside of the game to make sure that everybody's like comfortable. I really think it's about everybody building each other up instead of just leaving everybody like on an island to do their thing.
NRG wants to prevent this second Herald charge. They jump in immediately, just kill someday.
I think Christian's always been very outspoken about the game. I think over the last 2 years, what he's improved on a lot is just like his consistency. So now I feel like when he has stuff to say, it's a lot more impactful than it was.
In the beginning of the split, I wasn't as clear about what I wanted from my teammates. There was like a changing point in the middle of the split where I was like, I will either do this or like I'll tell my teammates very clearly what I want from them.
Sit down.
IW.
I'm talking enemy ID.
Hitting Sedge.
I'm dead.
Okay. Oh my god, it's a heist. Oh, nah, fucking ending. Oh my gosh.
He's recognized what it means to like be more of a team player, and like he shows it in and out of game.
I think that it has to do with everybody on NRG. I think there's just like a lot of trust in the team right now, like engages, peeling. I think like everybody's kind of just like leveled up. For me, there's also the aspect of like just hyping up my teammates and making it so like we're playing like confident, we're playing like we're gonna kill them if they walk here, not being scared and just like play with confidence.
First divide, they're gonna have to go in. NRG won it though. Look at Palafox. He finds Tomo in the back, and NRG, they're doing it! And it's all she wrote for Dignitas.
What I'm gonna do to make sure that I play the best I can, making sure that like I'm the best version of myself that I can be before playoffs, because I know that we can take playoffs 100%.
With Verizon's new My Plan, I get exactly what I want and only pay for what I need.
Now I'm in charge of my plan.
Introducing My Plan from Verizon. You get exactly what you want and only pay for what you need. And it all starts at just $30. It's your Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.